Hello, the Stockhead faithful. Good to be back with you again. This week I'll be talking about a uranium explorer with operations in Canada, Queensland and Sweden. Markets first, obviously the big news. Well, there's two parts to that. One is the $13.4 billion framework deal with the US in respect to critical rare earths. So pretty big deal. So pretty big commitment from the US and a very positive for the sector generally, which has been running pretty hard for the last month or so. The other big news, obviously gold going through record highs, a bit of a pullback early this week off 5% with a bit of a recovery in trading today. Bit of strength in the US dollar, saw a bit of money flow out of that. Having said that, central bank demand and in particular retail demand remains very strong. Before I go into the stock of the week, honourable mention to Cyclone Metals, sold 60 million past of European lithium shares, has around $15 million in the bank, on track to complete a pre-feasibility study second quarter next year. Many of you remember they put out a scoping study with a $9.8 billion NPV back in August. Bit of rearrangement at the general meeting. Mr. Sage left the building, and quite an active peanut gallery there, I must say. So a bit of entertainment all round. A bit of speculation that his holding and supporters might hit the market, so it might be a buying opportunity there under 6 cents. On to the stock of the week, Basin Energy, ticker is BSN. Basin's led by Peter Morehouse. He's a geologist with just under 20 years experience and has quite a bit of uranium experience, in particular with explorer and developer Alligator Energy, which many of you have followed over the years. Market cap's around $8.5 million. Recently raised money at 2.5 cents, so got just under $2 million in cash, so an EV of around $6 million, so pretty cheap. Basin has a portfolio of assets in Queensland, Sweden and in the Athabasca Basin. Athabasca, I must admit, has proven pretty tough. Exploration or drilling costs there are generally in that sort of $600 to $800 a metre, so not cheap. But the interesting move, I thought, was the move into Sweden, because the ban on uranium exploration is coming to a close in January, and it's highly prospective for uranium. And they've just put out some pretty encouraging results from a 59-hole resampling program, so that's historical holes that were resampled by Basin Energy. Came up with some pretty good results at some of the key prospects. Bjorkberget, 12 metres at 0.12% uranium from 42 metres downhole. Raverberget, not far from there, 14.4 metres at 0.15% uranium from 16 metres. So pretty encouraging results. I think that there's the opportunity to gain a greater footprint in Sweden. Not many explorers there. There is some interest out of some Canadian juniors there. So between Sweden and Finland, Finland obviously has a number of reactors online. So I see that as a real growth area for juniors, and I hope to see more Australian activity there. Other assets in the portfolio, I mentioned Queensland. They've got some pretty interesting ground near Red Metal, Cybella, Discovery. They're holding around 6,000 square kilometres there, looking for rare earths. Red Metals have got a very large granite with quite high rare earth concentrations. What was interesting is they leach with a fairly weak acid, and they're getting recoveries, in that 60 to 70% range for neodymium dysprosium, which is very encouraging. So they've got a large ground position there. The geology looks similar, looking for the same style of mineralisation. Their tenement is also near Paladin's 148 million pound Valhalla uranium deposit. So they're looking for roll front and sediment hosted uranium deposits there. So quite an interesting portfolio. One of the number of uranium juniors that are still, in my view, undervalued as uranium gains more traction in the market. We're seeing a lot more activity on the venture exchange in Toronto, and the Canadian juniors are gearing up, and I think that groundswell is going to spill over here. Could be a pretty good year for uranium next year. That's all for this week. Look forward to talking to you next week.
For more ASX news and analysis, subscribe below.